Okay, number 2, we want to solve the equation in the complex number system. So it's just a real number system, and we might have imaginary numbers. So first, I want to see if this problem will factor. It may not. That's why they say complex. And then if it does not factor, we will use quadratic formula. So factors of 50 will be 1 and 50, 2 and 25, 5 and 10, and I don't think we get any other factors of 50. And we would have to add to get 2, and none of these will add to be 2. So we're going to do quadratic formula. That is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. So I'm going to plug in each of their parts. So negative b, plugging in a negative to a negative becomes a positive. So we get a positive 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is understood to be a 1, times c is 50, all divided by 2 times a, which is 1. So I'm going to simplify everything under the radical and the denominator. So we have 2 plus or minus the square root. And here, 4 times 50 basically is 200. And this is 4. So we have 4 minus 200 under here. And then we have a 2 down here. Continuing, we had 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 196 divided by 2. Okay, so here's a problem. We don't like to have negatives under square root. We can't solve those. So that's how we get imaginary or complex. So this will become 2 plus or minus. The negative will come outside and become an I. And then we have the square root of 196. So this is an imaginary number. The square root of 196 is 14. So we're going to wrap around, almost down. We're going to wrap around here. And we have 2 plus or minus 14i divided by 2. And then we can divide both these terms by 2. So that would give us 1 plus or minus the 7i. Okay, so it is important to notice that when you have an imaginary term, you will have 2 of them. One of them we get 1 plus 7i, and the other one is 1 minus 7i. You always get 2. You get a positive and a negative. So that is a thing to note, because we will see that coming ahead on other problems. You cannot have an imaginary term without having a square root, and you can't do square root without plus or minus. So we got 2 terms. I think they will allow us to put it like this with the plus or minus since they have it here. So I'm going to do 1 plus or minus 7i.